destination heroes coming off from Team Turkey, right?
Kita masuk guys di game pertama antara Indonesia versus Turki guys ya. Ini Mlbb Women.
Because most of the fight that we see that actually was very fruitful or successful inside of Team Turkey when they have Kacha or even Farsa to be prioritized. The question is now Indonesia prioritized to actually take down Hilda, even though Hilda might be very also fruitful on the dangerous gas, but on rotation as a roamer as well, this actually gives so much movement and it will deny the areas that junglers want to expose or even get into for the contest of the buff. Do you agree on that?
Yeah, it also tends to be a hero that allows you to read a little bit about what they're thinking.
Oh yeah.
You banning the Hilda means you probably want to play an assassin, right? And so far there hasn't been any assassin bans, so Lancelot, Hayabusa is still there. You could even go Yi Sun-Shin to keep things more open. So Turkey, they're gonna keep it open. They ban out the Grok instead.
Wow. So much of the tankiness, sustainability, but this is going to be Indonesia to actually get Gatot Kaca as the first pick itself. Now it's going to be open for Team Turkey. I thought about how Team Turkey prioritized on the Gatot Kaca instead, but here on out, they can still be able to actually take the first assassin jungle if they want to go out, or they can actually just pull out for their mid lane first. They want to actually go out for maybe Farsa because those are the hero priorities that they are quite signature to for Team Turkey itself, or are they actually trying to actually play along and say like, let's play for the sustainability heroes first? What do you think?
I think you don't usually put out sustained heroes first. You want to prioritize heroes that do things that no other heroes are capable of. That's why the Gatot gets picked up so early on nowadays. It's a very easy hero to open the map and disengage if necessary. But that's a very interesting combo coming out from Turkey already. The Angela comes in with the Esmeralda, so trying to take away one of the Angela counters by picking them together. But a very quick response from Indonesia as well. If you want to counter an Esme, Lunox going to be a very good bet.
Such a good coming out from Indonesia, but Lancelot, like you talked about, it's quite open to be picked out, and Indonesia says that might as well just pick out the assassin straight away right here for midnight for the second phase of the banning. So now we are seeing such great rotation, such great movement coming up from Indonesia for their hero picks with the AOG in the hands. Gatot Kaca, even Lunox, such great escape mechanism for itself as well, such great movement around for itself as well. So it doesn't have much, how do I say, challenge for the team of Indonesia to just surround themselves and have a good fight with Team Turkey. Now, Team Turkey, they have to have a good response coming off against Team Indonesia.
If you're dealing with a Gatot Lunox, you already have a very difficult time controlling the mid lane, especially if you hand the real mid lane Angela as well. That means that Turkey needs a roamer with good wave clear and the ability to match up to the sustain coming in from Gatot and Lunox. There's not a lot of those left in the pool. We might need to see them look at things like the Cho, since they would also be a good solution to the Lance. For now though, they will lock in the Hayabusa first, since they're definitely not going to have access to him if they continue leaving the jungle open after this.
Oh, kind of true though. I think that pretty much prioritize coming in from both teams itself. They know that when it comes to the second phase, they don't want to actually be taking out too much of the pool to kill even more down. So now they prioritize more sustainable, and they have like ability-wise as well. And I know for a fact that we've seen how Iran had picked Angela as well as Hayabusa. It didn't go in their favor because how much of aggression that was done by Team Malaysia. But if Turkey can play around with having Elsmerada's sustainability, that could actually give a lot of chance for Team Turkey to just come off with Hot Shadow, with the Shadow kill to go to the back line as well, take down Lunox. But the question is going to be fast enough to shut down Indonesia.
And it's difficult because in the first place, Lunox counters Hayabusa. Having brilliance around just helps you deal with a lot of things. And while I do like the idea of picking Angela and Esme together, I do wonder whether it's something that Team Turkey could have actually left off for later in the draft. Because now, they don't have as much access to the more priority hero picks in the meta. By going for this, hopefully means that they have some more flexible options in the second half of the draft.
Hope so. But now looking on the face of banning, Milo's been taken out as well as Yuzong. We know for a fact that with the Glory Pathway, it actually actually kind of give a lot of easy access for Team Turkey to go to the back line. So those are the things that kind of crucial, and I like the idea that how Indonesia is denying it for the team itself.
It makes you wonder what Indonesia is planning to grab here. I really like the export ban coming in here from Team Turkey. This already indicates to us that they actually want to play more of a tanky lineup, which makes sense since you already have the Esmeralda and you will probably need one more frontliner. And export is one of the direct counters to something like an Angela as well. If you want to put that hero up against tankier options, Arif going to be the final ban from Indonesia.
I think I kind of know for a fact that Haris is also a significant hero coming from
Enggak,
Turkey
belum
as
pulang
well,
kok.
but we know for a fact that both of the two heroes that is
Nah, Mbak, nelpon.
it is coming to a combo between Haris as well as Hylos. It's not a good positioning for Team Indonesia as well. So there are possibilities that Indonesia is playing alongside of not just the distant heroes of Turkey, but the strategy that will be put out by them.
Thinking about what Team Turkey will want to grab here, Cho is still an option. Again, they need a fast clearing rover that ideally has a little bit of reliable crowd control as well, since they don't really have a way of locking down the landslide. And well, that does fit the bill. The Kaja gonna be locked in by Turkey.
Lain tampilannya.
I like the fact that Karja, it is kind of a pick-off hero, can be able to actually drag off with the skill itself. So the possibility of Turkey trying to actually maybe separate either one of the heroes from Indonesia as well. Even though it's not gonna be easy because we talked about how Lancelot escape mechanism with Puncher, as much as possible, he won't be able to flee away as quickly. So this is the question: is Turkey who you want to grab out? And not only that, talked about how Nox ability-wise and escape mechanism is also very crucial as well. So Kaja-wise, yes, really good, but catching up is still hard. But going to Indonesia right now, they clear off all of the two last heroes. It's going to be Ruby with Hollows.
Even though Indonesia doesn't have access to heroes like the Yisan Shin, because they have the Lancelot and Lunox together, that's already enough liquid scaling to enable double fighter side lane. And since they know that Turkey wants to play pick-off with the Divine Judgment and Hard Guard, and just set up a lineup where it's very difficult to pick any single person off, and their team fighting and skirmishing is going to be very solid overall. The formation of this squad is a little bit difficult to pull off, but the team has the experience to do so.
Oh, the last hero is going to be picked off. Lapu for Team Turkey. Looking at the side of Indonesia drafting, I know for a fact that we are seeing a kind of well-rounded
Ruby, Gatot Kaca.
lineup for Indonesia. Compared to Team Turkey, they had a really good pick-off from three heroes to start off for the first pick. But then going into the second phase, I kind of feel like their response to Indonesia is much more like a desperation to say like, we need to shut down, we need to find a way to actually shut down some of the players from Indonesia. Kaja-wise, yes, we talked about how the Fury Wave might be a good answer for it, but again, they don't have that capability to actually hold out the mobility that is inside the Indonesia team.
Yeah, that's the difficult part. You only have one Divine Judgment, and there's a lot of high mobility heroes on the opposite side now. Not to mention that despite both teams going for double fighter side lane strategies, Turkey is the one that probably needs to win early because they just don't have as much scaling in comparison due to this Angela mid lane. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is about time for us to kick off our second match of day one here at WEC 2025. It's going to be Team Indonesia going up against Team Turkey.
Let's go. This is our second series, first round for our two teams. Best of three. Those who actually get to 0
Ini nama
will
timnya
get
Fit
the
Food.
best points, and those who actually get the most points from their grouping will be the first one to go automatically to the playoff. But looking on so far right now, Team Food, they need to be very aware of Indonesia movement, right? Because we know for a fact, like, yeah, got Nora right here, trying to make sure that he'll be able to actually do some, at least straining away, stealing away some of the players' movement or dragging it into the corners so that Team Turkey can come to fight out damage. But is it going to be enough? Because Indonesia-wise, too much high mobility heroes in their hands. They have a way to actually just escape any ways that to be picked off by Team.
We do have to highlight Kaja isn't only a divine judgment bot, he does actually offer some utility in that passive off of his ring of judgment here, where he does slow down damage coming out from Team Indonesia. So if the fight lasts long enough, that could build up. But at the same time, Indonesia is perfectly happy to take longer skirmishes.
The thing is, right now we see the difference coming in from Team Malaysia. Right? They pretty much prioritize on fast-paced game. Indonesia-wise, they are kind of a little bit more strategic. Contra comes through, not gonna get anything. Contra goes in, but still, they're just picking off little by little, trying to actually tease away from both sides of the teams, whether or not Fuj might actually bait out. Are they gonna go in all out? Nora goes in for the front side. Vivian just backs off with the taunt as well, and Hargard comes through. Unfortunately, seems that the Dizzle might be right here.
Looks like Vival's gonna jump back into it. Vival secures Turtle. Kujo goes down. City picks up first blood in the back line. They're gonna see if they can find anyone else, but Turkey will be able to back off. They'll cut their losses there.
I think pretty much we see that fight, fast-paced fight coming in from Team Indonesia itself, and Team Food, they kind of try to play around with it, but ended up it goes into the favor of Team Indonesia. Now, Team Turkey somehow, I feel like they're playing by the cards, playing by the games of Indonesia movement itself, and even with Vival, didn't actually be taken out or even try to be grabbed out again.
Nora's in trouble.
Yeah.
Darkman comes out from the taunt, not quite enough to finish off the Kaja. You can see that the slowdown level 4 is really messing with Turkey's game plan.
Well, even from the start itself, Indonesia is pretty much playing by their own rotation, by the game.
Oh, to get another taunt right into the AOG. Nora has no way of escaping, no flicker available. The rest of the team's coming here to back her up. Hardguard comes out, is surrounded. Vivian, a little bit too deep, gets punished for that. Looks like Lunohana wants to chase down Cindy as well. Still has Bravest Warrior, jumps forward. Flicker comes out, final slash from Mlbb, pushes them into the tower, chases down Zendaya, and finishes off the Angela.
That is such a clean fight coming in from Team Indonesia. Great fight from the side of Turkey as well. They do somehow try to actually push forward, try to actually make sure that they will fight or try to actually make sure Indonesia comes in their hands, but ended up Indonesia had the better upper hand.
They did manage to turn that around pretty well, though. Indonesia initially got a great catch onto Nora. Speaking of catches in the bot lane, they're trying to gank Echo. 3 people on 1. Weapon on the string, gets the lockdown in Arlen. No final slash. Echo not going to be able to sustain out of this one.
I think pretty much we see the gang up comes when Echo was actually playing off too much to a point that if you thought that she would actually get away with it, but everyone definitely not in the favor of Echo, but good fight comes out with it. But this is going to be the second turtle. Let's see if Team Food will have to save
The Divine Judgment, they caught Cindy. Brilliance comes out, though. I'm not sure if that's the target they wanted. Here comes Bravest Warrior. Then comes out. AOG gets cancelled. The Firelight comes out. Cindy not going to be able to survive, though. Vivian does catch up in time. Unfortunately, Lunohana was a little bit too far forward, so the lava goes down. They get the CC and final slash only catches one. Echo is barely able to get away. The retribution already used on the Esmeralda. That means that Kujo might be able to go in for the steal. The turtle gets reset slightly, and now the CC comes out on Hayabusa. John back in. Kujo with the turtle steal. And Hardguard keeping him alive just long enough. Unfortunately, Hayabusa does end up going down, and Mieko unfortunately falls as well. Meanwhile, picks up the double kill in return.
Oof. Great composition coming in from Indonesia. Such a contest comes through, and the fact that Team Turkey does have their response, but somehow wasn't able to actually maneuver the casualty to the side of Indonesia. Now looking on the side of economy-wise, definitely is in the favor. Even though with 1,000 or even 2,000 the lead for Team Indonesia, they have 2 items already.
Ya, Angela itu mid lane guys, jangan lagi dipakai dari rumah.
However, it's still not that much of a gap. They still can be able to pull through if they can maintain the position.
So far, things are not too far off, but Nora gonna get caught once again. AOG comes out, but able to dash over the wall just in time. Kujo here as well. Indonesia not able to find that pick off.
I mean, they are forcing it just a little bit too much to a point that it's a bit physical coming from the side of Turkey. So hopefully, they do not force it too much to a point that Indonesia gets the upper hand.
Yeah, definitely. They gotta be careful of that. But so far, I am seeing very good rotations coming out of Team Turkey. They know they're playing kickoff. They know they gotta play around Nora. The Kaja still hasn't died yet.
I just haven't died at all so far. Keep coming in from him, but again, I feel like Nora needs to find a way to actually drag up at least one of the players in Indonesia so that it can be opening for Team Turkey itself. And that's what
good positioning there from the Ruby. Is aware of a suspicious movement from Turkey and knows that the Kaja isn't showing on the map. Unuhana also gonna be popping the bravest fighter, but not catching anyone with it.
And the fact that Team Turkey, again, just playing the hands of Team Indonesia. It's going to be the third turtle for them to contest it out. Far they just picked off just a little bit, trying to actually tease out that turtle. And Team Food, for a fact that 4 players of Indonesia is already stacked up for the mid lane. One trade has already been still out. So far, Team Food, they still have a way to control this Land of Dawn.
So far, the goal difference still not that big, which means that even though
Bisa
Indonesia are winning out with a slight lead,
menang itu
Turkey are not
Lancelot
out of
ya.
it. Oh, I'm offended. Misses in the mid lane. Diego though gonna be back by 3. Final slice comes out. Diego goes down. Bravest fighter comes through as well, but Indonesia has already backed off and reset their position for the turtle. Now a 5v4 situation.
5v4 situation. Nuhana trying to find a way, but Umieko comes through, but at the same time, Shell goes out to Nora.
Hard guard being considered, but Indonesia doing a great job of maintaining distance. Vival secures the turtle, and they're not going to force anything more than that.
They're not going to be able to secure more than that, but it's going to be enough for them, though. They're able to actually zone out every movement of Team Food to a point that Team Turkey doesn't even have a way to break off that rotation.
Yeah, but so far, still not the worst. The only hold on in the bot lane, Final Slash comes out, Kujo in trouble, already takes the clutch out, not able to get out, but Mieko dies to the tower. Zinni though, making up for it, Flickers behind Tier 2 to pick up Zendaya.
I mean, a little bit of diving composition coming in, but then again, still enough though to have that 2-1 in the hands of Indonesia. And now, moving on through, they still have so much discipline coming in to defend that turret. But turret to the top lane, this is a little bit more for they can push in, and somehow Chell will be able to get the first turret right here at the bottom.
Indonesia slowly but surely building up their advantage on the map. They're aware that Turkey needs multiple players together to actually make anything happen. And that gives them a lot more freedom to play with.
Yeah, then definitely we see like, again, drastic coming in from the side of Indonesia, right? The depth of the economy-wise, it's not that much. 2,000 of the gold lane, that gives a lot of itemization for Team Indonesia, but Team Turkey, again, they're quite disciplined on their rotation, they're quite disciplined on their own mechanism. That's how it gives them so much of an opportunity to just control this movement for Team Indonesia.
Some poking happening here in the river. Vival finds the kill on Mieko in the bot lane alongside Zinni, but that means Turkey knows they have the numbers here, but the AOG comes in! I'm offended! Set them up! It's a double kill! For Fumi Echo as Indonesia bites back hard!
3 teams somehow was able to actually beat it off to the ground, and now we're moving in. It seems that Indonesia will have the upper hand. Duro somehow got the all-in out for the final slash.
Flicker is going to be forced out here just to get Turkey out of that situation. They lose their mid-tier 2. Holy defense going to be gone in the mid-inhibitor as well. Indonesia instantly transitions to the Lord.
The Lord. The middle turret right now, hold on. One lifeline left. Unless if the Lord marches in, might actually opens the gates for Indonesia to infiltrate Turkey. And Turkey somehow started out really good to control composition, but now they started to falter just a little bit more.
And this is the concern I talked about. Turkey does need to be leading in the early stages because their late game just doesn't quite add up comparatively. And since Indonesia is already leading by a pretty good margin now, it's going to be very difficult for them.
It is difficult, definitely. And the fact that, yeah, you did manage to actually steal away the bottom lane for the turret itself, but bot is going to march in. Right now, we do see for the players of Indonesia losing for the top.
Bravest fighter comes out, hard guard can be used as well. He gets onto the in, final slash pushes them out as well. Firelight can be used, Flicker forward, in trouble. Shell actually gets punished, going too deep. Turkey finds 1 kill, gets the stun on Fumi Echo once again. The cooldowns are running out on Indonesia, they're not going to be able to continue this. Brazilian re-engage, AOG comes in, gets the knock up on Diego, but do they have enough damage here? Also, final slash! From Fumi Echo gets 3, sets them up, Zinni with a double kill. They find another one as well. Vival finishes off 1 more. Only Kujo left standing on the side of Team Turkey as the full force of Team Indonesia now pushes straight into the base alongside the Lord. Will Kujo be able to clear this up in time? Looks like the answer is yes. At the very least, they'll keep themselves alive for now. But Indonesia is still pushing in. Oh, you shot a good one. Vival,
Wah, and. Aduh,
Kujo going back
mati
in,
lagi.
gets the pick off on Fumi Echo, but is it
En.
enough? Crystal is
Oh, nggak bisa
going
ya.
in for it, but Turkiye has held the line.
Oh wow! Just in the nick of
Mati tuh
time, the
lunoknya.
moment when they know for a fact only Kujo was the survivor that was able to actually defend wise. The rest of the teams was able to actually spawn back and give back hope for the team of Turkey. Indonesia lost 4 players, but now they need to be more disciplined.
yes.
Kind of open a little bit of the door for Team Turkey to actually goes in for the turret. But is it going to be enough time, Joe? They do go in for the infiltration. They invade to get the bomb. Somehow, are being denied by Shell.
Shell can be pulled forward, did manage to steal the purple buff away, but loses her own life in exchange. I don't think that's worth it.
Yep. That is so not worth it. Trying to survive it out, trying to make sure that at least the buff will not be seen by Team Turkey. But then again, it is going to be a reset for Team Indonesia. They've done a lot of damage already, getting up the opening for
Hati-hati,
the
Lancelot.
turret as well, the individual turrets. And the fact that the pop turret as well, just a little bit more, might be able to tease out the takedown. And somehow, the players of Team Food looking forward to actually go in for a fight. Fiverr, but Fiverr already had awareness coming.
Good positioning here. Team Indonesia so far has been able to move across the map with awareness that there could be a Kaja hiding behind every corner. Vival could be some trouble here. Gonna be isolated from the rest of our team, but I don't think Turkey is gonna full commit to this because another fight is happening in the backline with Diego.
The fact that, you know, they are trying to make sure that all the
Hati ya, lap
fight
kedua guys.
attention coming in from Team P needs to be very aware, needs to be alert in every single situation that's done. And now they're bringing in for the second round as well.
Guard comes out once again.
Ayo, gua Gatot lompat.
Indonesia trying to fight this final slash.
Okay.
Finds one AOG, gets cancelled out as well. Fumiego's the first one to go down. Her fireflies could not save her. And now the rest of Turkey is just pushing forward, making use of the heals coming out of Zendaya to keep themselves in the fight. But they've already run out of guard timing, and they do still have ways pushing. They can't continue this.
They can't continue this. No matter how much they try to actually find a way
Bahaya,
to
bahaya,
push
bahaya.
down to Team Turkey, somehow they were able to actually rotate around, try to
Salah orang
actually
kan.
negate everything that was done already. So Team Indonesia didn't find a way. Nora somehow going in for the
Iya,
front line
lemaknya.
and will be beat off with Mohana.
The Divine Judgment once again on Shell, and they know just how to
Dia
get
mau
line
ngapain
momentum.
nih?
Flicker gonna be used, keeping Turkey in place, but Hardguard comes out once again. They're going for the full 5-man fight. Nora dropping low, and an execution misses. City comes in from behind with the
Dapat,
turning
dapat. Nice.
Vivian goes down, but they've lost their Hayabusa in exchange. They're now trying to keep Indonesia around. In the meantime, Shell is mid lane. Nora goes down. It's a double kill for the Lunox. But Turkey, you gotta keep an eye on your mid lane. There is a Ruby pushing into your base right now. City goes down. It's killing spree for Unohana, but the crystal is exposed. Turkey
Lihat Ruby-nya, cok.
attempts to defend it earlier. It goes down to a simple backdoor play. Team Indonesia takes game 1.
Again, talking about how need to be alert for all the surroundings. They were alert when they went to try to go in for a fight with Rival, but then again, the moment they were crucial to actually contest for the lot, before the lot comes in for the second lot dance, ended up they forgot to actually held on to the crystal, leaving out it so open that Shell going off for the back door, getting the first win for Indonesia.
That is such an unfortunate blunder there.
Kita lanjut ya di game kedua
to
guys.
make it back to the base in the first place because Indonesia would have been trying their best to stop them.